Injury just before the play started. Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks were the other winners on day one of the playoffs, while the Phoenix Suns and Orlando Magic won the play-in tournament to book their places. That's all for now, we'll have more later. These are your latest sports headlines. I'm Jack Ogleby. We start with football, and Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior says Esteval cried in the dressing room after he revealed the teenage Brazilian was substituted for a hamstring injury during Saturday night's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United. The forward was withdrawn 16 minutes into play after going down in need of treatment after a promising start and was replaced by Alejandro Garnacho. As for an update, Rosenior said he was crying at half-time, really devastated for him. Moving on, Tottenham head coach Roberto De Zerbi believes his side can win all 5 of their remaining games to stay in the Premier League. Spurs suffered stoppage time heartbreaks, draw 2-2 at home to Brighton to keep them in the bottom 3 on Saturday. Georginio Rutter's 95th minute leveller denied Spurs a first league win of 2026, as well as a first victory for De Zerbi. However, despite a daunting running that includes trips to London rivals Chelsea and Champions League chasing Aston Villa, the Italian feels his side can string together 5 consecutive wins to preserve their ever-present Premier League status. Of course, it's another big day of Premier League action today. We have 3 games at 2 o'clock, being Villa, Sunderland, Everton against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, and Forest against Burnley. Before the big one, Manchester City against Arsenal at 4:30. There's also Scottish Cup semi-final action as Celtic take on St Mirren in the repeat of the League Cup final last year, while Ipswich can go second in the Championship by beating fellow promotion hopefuls Middlesbrough at 12 o'clock. Well, there are also 2 League One fixtures, Peterborough United against Burton and Port Vale against Wigan. Golf now, and England's Matt Fitzpatrick hit an impressive third on 68 to give himself a 3-shot lead over Scottish Scheffler going into the final round of the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. The former US Open champion started his round nervously with 2 bogeys in his first 2 holes. He was back on par by the 12th, while birdies on the 12th and 14th before a chipping eagle on the 15th gave him a 68 for the day. Despite his healthy lead, Fitzpatrick will be looking over his shoulder at Woodland Scheffler for his sensational 7 under par 64, which featured 8 birdies. Finally to basketball, and the LA Lakers shrugged off their injury worries to make a winning start to the NBA playoffs. The 18-time champions without key players Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves and Maxi Kleber, but 41-year-old LeBron James produced another fine display in a 107-98 win over Houston. James controlled the floor, racking up 19 points, 13 assists and 8 rebounds against the Houston side who lost key man Kevin Durant to injury just before the play started. Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks were the other winners on day one of the playoffs, while the Phoenix Suns and Orlando Magic won the play-in tournament to book their places. That's all for now, we'll have more later. These are your latest sports headlines. I'm Jack Ogleby. We start with football, and Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior says Esteval cried in the dressing room after he revealed the teenage Brazilian was substituted for a hamstring injury during Saturday night's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United. The forward was withdrawn 16 minutes into play after going down in need of treatment after a promising start and was replaced by Alejandro Garnacho. As for an update, Rosenior said he was crying at half-time, really devastated for him. Moving on, and Tottenham head coach Roberto De Zerbi believes his side can win all 5 of their remaining games to stay in the Premier League. Spurs suffered stoppage time heartbreaks, draw 2-2 at home to Brighton to keep them in the bottom 3 on Saturday. Georginio Rutter's 95th minute leveller denied Spurs a first league win of 2026, as well as a first victory for De Zerbi. However, despite a daunting running that includes trips to London rivals Chelsea and Champions League chasing Aston Villa, the Italian feels his side can string together 5 consecutive wins to preserve their ever-present Premier League status. Of course, it's another big day of Premier League action today. We have 3 games at 2 o'clock, being Villa, Sunderland, Everton against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, and Forest against Burnley. Before the big one, Manchester City against Arsenal at 4:30. There's also Scottish Cup semi-final action as Celtic take on St Mirren in the repeat of the League Cup final last year, while Ipswich can go second in the Championship by beating fellow promotion hopefuls Middlesbrough at 12 o'clock. Well, there are also 2 League One fixtures, Peterborough United against Burton and Port Vale against Wigan. Golf now, and England's Matt Fitzpatrick hit an impressive third on 68 to give himself a 3-shot lead over Scottish Scheffler going into the final round of the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. The former US Open champion started his round nervously with 2 bogeys in his first 2 holes. He was back on par by the 12th, while birdies on the 12th and 14th before a chipping eagle on the 15th gave him a 68 for the day. Despite his healthy lead, Fitzpatrick will be looking over his shoulder at Woden with Scheffler following his sensational 7 under par 64, which featured 8 birdies. Finally to basketball, and the LA Lakers shrugged off their injury worries to make a winning start to the NBA playoffs. The 18-time champions without key players Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves and Maxi Kleber, but 41-year-old LeBron James produced another fine display in a 107-98 win over Houston. James controlled the floor, racking up 19 points, 13 assists and 8 rebounds against the Houston side who lost key man Kevin Durant to injury just before the play started. Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks were the other winners on day one of the playoffs, while the Phoenix Suns and Orlando Magic won the play-in tournament to book their places. That's all for now, we'll have more later. These are your latest sports headlines. I'm Jack Ogleby. We start with football, and Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior says Esteval cried in the dressing room after he revealed the teenage Brazilian was substituted for a hamstring injury during Saturday night's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United. The forward was withdrawn 16 minutes into play after going down in need of treatment after a promising start and was replaced by Alejandro Garnacho. As for an update, Rosenior said he was crying at half-time, really devastated for him. Moving on, and Tottenham head coach Roberto De Zerbi believes his side can win all 5 of their remaining games to stay in the Premier League. Spurs suffered stoppage time heartbreaks, draw 2-2 at home to Brighton to keep them in the bottom 3 on Saturday. Georginio Rutter's 95th minute leveller denied Spurs a first league win of 2026, as well as a first victory for De Zerbi. However, despite a daunting running that includes trips to London rivals Chelsea and Champions League chasing Aston Villa, the Italian feels his side can string together 5 consecutive wins to preserve their ever-present Premier League status. Of course, it's another big day of Premier League action today. We have 3 games at 2 o'clock, being Villa, Sunderland, Everton against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, and Forest against Burnley. Before the big one, Manchester City against Arsenal at 4:30. There's also Scottish Cup semi-final action as Celtic take on St Mirren in the repeat of the League Cup final last year, while Ipswich can go second in the Championship by beating fellow promotion hopefuls Middlesbrough at 12 o'clock. Well, there are also 2 League 1 fixtures, Peterborough United against Burton and Port Vale against Wigan. Golf now, and England's Matt Fitzpatrick hit an impressive third on 68 to give himself a 3-shot lead over Scottish Scheffler going into the final round of the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. The former US Open champion started his round nervously with 2 bogeys in his first 2 holes. He was back on par by the 12th, while birdies on the 12th and 14th before a chipping eagle on the 15th gave him a 68 for the day. Despite his healthy lead, Fitzpatrick will be looking over his shoulder at Woden with Scheffler following his sensational 7 under par 64, which featured 8 birdies. Finally to basketball, and the LA Lakers shrugged off their injury worries to make a winning start to the NBA playoffs. The 18-time champions without key players Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves and Maxi Kleber, but 41-year-old LeBron James produced another fine display in a 107-98 win over Houston. James controlled the floor, racking up 19 points, 13 assists and 8 rebounds against the Houston side who lost key man Kevin Durant to injury just before the play started. Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks were the other winners on day one of the playoffs, while the Phoenix Suns and Orlando Magic won the play-in tournament to book their places. That's all for now, we'll have more later. These are your latest sports headlines. I'm Jack Ogleby. We start with football, and Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior says Esteval cried in the dressing room after he revealed the teenage Brazilian was substituted for a hamstring injury during Saturday night's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United. The forward was withdrawn 16 minutes into play after going down in need of treatment after a promising start and was replaced by Alejandro Garnacho. As for an update, Rosenior said he was crying at half-time, really devastated for him. Moving on, and Tottenham head coach Roberto De Zerbi believes his side can win all 5 of their remaining games to stay in the Premier League. Spurs suffered stoppage time heartbreaks, draw 2-2 at home to Brighton to keep them in the bottom 3 on Saturday. Georginio Rutter's 95th minute leveller denied Spurs a first league win of 2026, as well as a first victory for De Zerbi. However, despite a daunting running that includes trips to London rivals Chelsea and Champions League chasing Aston Villa, the Italian feels his side can string together 5 consecutive wins to preserve their ever-present Premier League status. Of course, it's another big day of Premier League action today. We have 3 games at 2 o'clock, being Villa, Sunderland, Everton against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, and Forest against Burnley. Before the big one, Manchester City against Arsenal at 4:30. There's also Scottish Cup semi-final action as Celtic take on St Mirren in the repeat of the League Cup final last year, while Ipswich can go second in the Championship by beating fellow promotion hopefuls Middlesbrough at 12 o'clock. Well, there are also 2 League 1 fixtures, Peterborough United against Burton and Port Vale against Wigan. Golf now, and England's Matt Fitzpatrick hit an impressive third on 68 to give himself a 3-shot lead over Scottish Scheffler going into the final round of the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. The former US Open champion started his round nervously with 2 bogeys in his first 2 holes. He was back on par by the 12th, while birdies on the 12th and 14th before a chipping eagle on the 15th gave him a 68 for the day. Despite his healthy lead, Fitzpatrick will be looking over his shoulder at Woden with Scheffler following his sensational 7 under par 64, which featured 8 birdies. Finally to basketball, and the LA Lakers shrugged off their injury worries to make a winning start to the NBA playoffs. The 18-time champions without key players Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves and Maxi Kleber, but 41-year-old LeBron James produced another fine display in a 107-98 win over Houston. James controlled the floor, racking up 19 points, 13 assists and 8 rebounds against a Houston side who lost key man Kevin Durant to injury just before the play started. Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks were the other winners on day 1 of the playoffs, while the Phoenix Suns and Orlando Magic won the play-in tournament to book their places. That's all for now, we'll have more later. These are your latest sports headlines. I'm Jack Ogleby. We start with football, and Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior says Esteval cried in the dressing room after he revealed the teenage Brazilian was substituted for a hamstring injury during Saturday night's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United. The forward was withdrawn 16 minutes into play after going down in need of treatment after a promising start and was replaced by Alejandro Garnacho. As for an update, Rosenior said he was crying at half-time, really devastated for him. Moving on, and Tottenham head coach Roberto De Zerbi believes his side can win all 5 of their remaining games to stay in the Premier League. Spurs suffered stoppage time heartbreaks, draw 2-2 at home to Brighton to keep them in the bottom 3 on Saturday. Jorginho Rutter's 95th minute leveller denied Spurs a first league win of 2026, as well as a first victory for De Zerbi. However, despite a daunting running that includes trips to London rivals Chelsea and Champions League chasing Aston Villa, the Italian feels his side can string together 5 consecutive wins to preserve their ever-present Premier League status. Of course, it's another big day of Premier League action today. We have 3 games at 2 o'clock, being Villa, Sunderland, Everton against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, and Forest against Burnley. Before the big one, Manchester City against Arsenal at 4:30. There's also Scottish Cup semi-final action as Celtic take on St Mirren in the repeat of the League Cup final last year, while Ipswich can go second in the Championship by beating fellow promotion hopefuls Middlesbrough at 12 o'clock. Well, there are also 2 League 1 fixtures, Peterborough United against Burton and Port Vale against Wigan. Golf now, and England's Matt Fitzpatrick hit an impressive third on 68 to give himself a 3-shot lead over Scottish Scheffler going into the final round of the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. The former US Open champion started his round nervously with 2 bogeys in his first 2 holes. He was back on par by the 12th, while birdies on the 12th and 14th before a chipping eagle on the 15th gave him a 68 for the day. Despite his healthy lead, Fitzpatrick will be looking over his shoulder at Woden with Scheffler following his sensational 7 under par 64, which featured 8 birdies. Finally to basketball, and the LA Lakers shrugged off their injury worries to make a winning start to the NBA playoffs. The 18-time champions without key players Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves and Maxi Kleber, but 41-year-old LeBron James produced another fine display in a 107-98 win over Houston. James controlled the floor, racking up 19 points, 13 assists and 8 rebounds against a Houston side who lost key man Kevin Durant to injury just before the play started. Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks were the other winners on day 1 of the playoffs, while the Phoenix Suns and Orlando Magic won the play-in tournament to book their places. That's all for now, we'll have more later. These are your latest sports headlines. I'm Jack Ogleby. We start with football, and Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior says Esteval cried in the dressing room after he revealed the teenage Brazilian was substituted for a hamstring injury during Saturday night's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United. The forward was withdrawn 16 minutes into play after going down in need of treatment after a promising start and was replaced by Alejandro.
Edge to a 1-0 win over relegation-threatened Tottenham last time out. Match winner Nordi Mukiele retains his spot at right back, while Dan Ballard returns to the bench after missing the last 2 league matches through injury. So the lineups in full. For Aston Villa, it's Martinez in goal, a back 4 of Cash, Concert, Mings and Maatsen. Onana and Tielemans are the holding midfielders, with Rogers, Barkley and McGinn supporting Watkins up top. For Sunderland, it's Roofs in goal. A back four of Mandava, Aldrinete, O'Neill and Mukiele. Xhaka and Siddiqui are the holding midfielders, with Lefay, Diarra and Rigg supporting their lone striker of Brian Brobby.
We'll leave that there because we are now underway for this Premier League clash between Aston Villa and Sunderland. The hosts in their usual kits of claret and blue, playing from left to right this afternoon, with Sunderland in their chain strip of the blue shirts and white shorts, playing from right to left. It's myself, Will Maxwell, taking you through this one, and as Emi Martinez will just roll the ball out for Tyrone Mings. He'll go back to the Argentine goalkeeper, who eventually launches the ball further forward. It will give me an opportunity to run you through the lineups if you did miss them in the earlier preamble. Although I will break off, as there is an opportunity here for Villa early on, with Maatsen on the byline looking to float the ball in towards the area for Ollie Watkins, dealt with by Alderete. Rogers makes himself a nuisance, hammered away well by O'Neill, and now maybe a counter-attack opportunity for the Black Cats. Diarra trying to roll it into Brian Brobby, really sloppy pass though by Habib Diarra, and that will be comfortably picked off by the England international. So for the Villains, it is Martinez in goal, a back four of Cash, Concert, Mings and Maatsen. Onana and Tielemans are the holding midfielders, with Rogers, Barkley and McGinn supporting Ollie Watkins up top. For Sunderland, it's Robin Roofs in goal, Mandava, Alderete, O'Neill and Mukiele in the back four. Xhaka and Siddiqui are the holding midfielders, with Lefay, Diarra and Rigg supporting their lone striker of Brian Brobby. Onana looks to roll the ball to Matty Cash, who flicks it over the top for McGinn. McGinn, lovely ball over towards the far post, and it's an early goal for Aston Villa. 1 minute and 40 seconds into the game, and we already have our opening goal, and it was far too easy for the Villains to take the lead there. A glorious lobbed cross into the far post by the Scottish international John McGinn, and it was Ollie Watkins at the far post to nod home into an empty net from no more than about 3 yards out. Massive goal for the Villains. The Black Cats carved open early doors. It's a beautiful ball over the top by Cash to find McGinn, but who is picking up Ollie Watkins there? Really sloppy defending by the visitors. And you can't say the Villains haven't deserved it by how on top they have been in the opening 2 minutes of this contest. Sunderland now will have it all to do to try and get back on level terms ASAP. As it stands with that goal, Villa, well, they would remain in 4th place, but they would go on to level points with 3rd place Manchester United as well. Got about a 7-goal difference to make up though, as the ball is fired into Chris Rigg. Already an opportunity here for Sunderland, and Rigg's effort scuffed into the ground and wide of the mark. Lovely turn by Rigg inside the area. I think his effort came from no more than 10 yards out. Not a bad effort at all by the Sunderland number 11. He was having his arm pulled by Ian Maatsen, not enough to go down or for a penalty to be awarded, but a lively start for both of these sides. Incidentally, if it does remain 1-0 come the end of the 19th, Sunderland would remain in 11th place, and their bid for European football would take a big hit. They're currently only 2 points off of 6th placed Chelsea. They could leapfrog so many teams today if they were able to claim victory, especially with Everton, one of their other European rivals, playing this afternoon in the Merseyside derby at home against Liverpool. A game currently goalless as it stands, as Rigg on the edge of the area will roll it in for Siddiqui. Chance now for Sunderland once more, as Ronaldo Mandava works his way towards the left-hand side for Enzo Lefay. Lefay, he'll go for goal, bounce in front of Martinez. Could have been an awkward effort to save. In the end, the former number 1 goalkeeper in the world does make a very comfortable stop in the end. Does give me an opportunity to bring in my co-commentator for this afternoon's contest in Cy Barlow. such a lively start to this game, but Sunderland, they're not resting on their laurels since going down so early.
No, I think it's going to be a really interesting tactical battle between two coaches who certainly know how to manipulate the game with clever sort of intricate moves in midfield and trying to overload those areas. I think the centre of the pitch is going to be absolutely crucial today. Probably Aston Villa, you'd say, tend to be very strong down the middle of the pitch. Lack a little bit of, shall we say, penetration out wide, but they make up for that more often than not by finding ways through overloads in midfield, and that's something that Sunderland have to be very careful of today. But Sunderland themselves strong through the middle of the pitch, trying to set something up here with Robbie, but dealt with well by Matty Cash.
Yes, rolls the ball back to Martinez, and Villa will look to try and clear their lines. If you miss the result in the early game of the EFL, an absolute cracker in the Championship, it finished Ipswich Town 2, Middlesbrough 2. Goals from David Strelick and Tommy Conway, but they gave Middlesbrough the lead twice in the game. And a first-half equaliser from Casey McAteer and an 86-minute penalty from Jack Clark, salvaging a point for the Tractor Boys in that contest. There's no goals in any of the other Premier League encounters. There is one, though, in the League One game that is currently taking place between Peterborough and Burton. The visitors, Burton Albion, 1-0 up there thanks to the strike from Charlie Webster just before half-time. That game currently only 3 minutes into the second period. We'll keep you up to date with all the goals as they go in the Premier League, as well as the League One clash between Peterborough and Burton, and in the 3 o'clock game in the third tier between Port Vale and Wigan Athletic. All of those you can catch on our service. Luke O'Neill will roll the ball towards the left-hand side in Alderete. 6.5 minutes gone of this contest. Black Cats getting a decent spell of possession here after that early Ollie Watkins header. Roofs towards the right-hand side, finding support in Granit Xhaka. Rolls it back to O'Neill. Xhaka once more. Roll the ball down the wing for Diarra. He whips in across. That's well blocked by Ian Matson. Corner kick again for Sunderland, who, ever since going behind, have been comfy the better team.
Yeah, I think Sunderland they're playing with house money, aren't they? They've been safe from relegation for a while, and I think they've just got ambitions now to put a really good finish to the season together. And this is a game where they've gone behind early, but they've come back fighting, haven't they? So it's good signs for them.
Yeah, there were many bookies' favourites to be in and around the relegation zone at the beginning of the season, but such is the state of their campaign, they're now only 2 points off of Europe as a ball into the area is well dealt with by Yuri Tielemans and hammered away by Ian Matson, not before it gets brought back for a foul by Omar Alderete in the build-up. So Villa can look to clear their lines from this free kick. In terms of the benches for this afternoon's clash, for Unai Emery, his options are the backup keeper of Marco Bizot. So Leon Bailey, Tammy Abraham, Lamar Bogard, Emi Buendia, Luca Digne, Douglas Luiz, Jadon Sancho and Victor Lindelof. Whereas for Sunderland, their backup keeper of the Swede in Melker Elborg, Dan Ballard, Dennis Sirkin, Trey Hume, Lucharel Gertruda, Nelson Isidore, Harrison Jones. An opportunity here for Sunderland on the edge. It's Rigg's effort. Oh, what a strike that is by the winger in Chris Rigg. He just opened up that half a yard of space on the edge, and no one in Villa Claret and Blue got close to him, and it completely took everyone, not including myself, by surprise. And it flashes into the top right-hand corner, leaving Emi Martinez with absolutely no chance.
Yeah, superb effort from Rigg. He's been a real force in his second half of the season for Sunderland, and I'm surprised to see him left out for the last game, but he's back in the team today, and he just picks up the ball on the edge of the box. It's a good layoff to him, but he just gets it out of his feet, and he whips it round the goalkeeper there from sort of left edge corner of the penalty area, right edge corner of the penalty area with his left foot. Not sure if there was a slight deflection on that, but there was real action on the ball. No deflection for me. It's gone between a couple of defenders who were trying to close him down, and whipped it beyond Martinez, giving the keeper no chance. 1-1.
What a start to this game. 9 minutes in already. 2 goals to talk about. cracking start to this contest, and exactly the response that Régis Le Bris will have hoped from his side. It's his first ever Premier League goal as well for the talented young Englishman in Chris Rigg. So Aston Villa with all to do once again. Tielemans looks for the run of Morgan Rogers, who was just caught there by the late tackle of Chris Rigg. So that will be a free kick for the Villains inside their own half. Incidentally, to finish off the bench for Sunderland is the youngster Harrison Jones, Eliza Mayenda and Kemsdean Tolby as the other option. So plenty of depth in all positions for both these sides. I did think it would be a very evenly matched contest this afternoon, currently being proven right, considering despite Villa have that comfortable point advantage over Sunderland in terms of league position, and almost certainly going to finish in a Champions League spot. The form of Sunderland and how they played this season means that they're such a difficult test for anyone in the Prem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they beat Tottenham last week, didn't they, in a game where there wasn't a great deal of attacking quality, but defensively very solid there. They're without Dan Ballard still, but they're not conceding that many goals, and they've got players of quality like Rigg, who's been he's been such a force for them, but can't always command a regular place in the team. So Régis Le Bris, he's a crafty manager. I think what we've seen from him in his first season in the Premier League is that he's definitely there to stay. Whether Sunderland can stay for a prolonged period, I think there'll be other clubs looking at Régis Le Bris to try and take him away. But yeah, just this is not an easy game for Villa, especially coming off a European game in midweek. So Sunderland right back in it now. As you said, they didn't take a backward step after conceding that goal, and they've been all over Villa really.
Well, they've taken 19 points from losing positions this season, have Sunderland. Only Aston Villa can match them for that, so it's definitely looking like to be a case that if either side take the lead in this contest, right off the opposition at your own peril.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sunderland have certainly, they've got good characters in the team. Granit Xhaka, ex-Arsenal, by Leverkusen, where he was a title winner. You've got a character like that in the dressing room. He's going to set the right tone. And I think others have followed on from his lead. And you've got Brian Brobby, doesn't give up on anything, does he, up front? He's a real handful for any centre-back he plays. You can mention several others throughout the team. They're just a team of strong characters, and that's been one of the reasons why they've done so well this season.
Offside flag is correctly got up on a Chris Rigg on the far side, so free kick for Aston Villa. Oh, surely that's a handball there by Tyrone Mings. He took a stumble, and when getting back up to his feet, he does just pat the ball with his hand. But no foul, says the referee. But Sunderland will look to try and pressurise further up the field, and Brobby asking questions of Tyrone Mings. Matson rolls it in for Ezri Konsa. He will get it out of his feet to find the Polish international in Matty Cash on this right-hand side. Inwards for Onana. We haven't really seen in this contest so far the imposing Belgian. Well, look to bring the ball further up the field once again. No real movement ahead of him. Eventually will look to lay it towards his right-hand side in Ezri Konsa. McGinn, of course, got the assist for Watkins's early header. He looks to try and lift another ball into the area. I think surely that took a bit of a deflection off a Sunderland man, Enzo Lefebvre. He's making the point that he didn't touch it. He looked for all the world that he did, but it will be a corner kick nevertheless for the Villains.
Yeah, I think it's not good defending from Lefebvre, but I'm not sure he does get a touch there, Linesman obviously felt he did, so it's a corner, but he got beaten by the run, really. The curving run from McGinn got round the back, and Lefebvre needs to be a bit better there in covering that type of run.
It is the corner kick for Aston Villa. John McGinn, the man who will take this. Whipped ball into the area. The head on, cannons off the crossbar, and somehow Sunderland can clear their lines. It was a great effort there by Onana. Then Cash will go for goal from about 40 yards out. Very optimistic, way over. But how on earth has the tall, imposing midfielder of Andre Onana been unable to put it into the back of the net? It looks harder to miss than to score.
Yeah, Amadou Onana, he's about 5 yards out, rises so high. Roofs has come to try and punch that one away, but Onana's a clear foot above him, heads it towards goal, comes crashing off the bar, and then there's a strange header there from a Sunderland defender, almost like trying to head it back towards a teammate on the line before it was hacked clear. But they're just living life dangerously at the moment, Sunderland.
Very dangerously indeed. Chances at both ends for both of these sides to take the lead. Amadou Onana out of his feet towards Cash on the right-hand side. 15 minutes gone in this contest. Remains one apiece between Aston Villa and Sunderland. It's been a cracking opening 15 minutes of Premier League football so far. Konsa stands on the ball, lays it to his centre-back partner of Tyrone Mings. Now a chance for Rogers. Overlapping run in Matson, won't utilise him. Eventually plays it, a lovely ball over towards Amadou Onana, who skips away from Siddiqui, gets out of his feet to find Tielemans. Rogers through ball looking for Ross Barkley, who gets on the second time of asking. Will manage to keep the attack going. Rogers, another ball delivered into the area, headed away by Granit Xhaka. Attack still on here for the Villains, if Cash can do anything with it. Tries to play a 1-2 with McGinn. McGinn utilises his body well, and still somehow gets down the byline. Lovely skill by McGinn. Eventually, surely he's been caught there by a Sunderland man in Omar Alderete. And it looks like it will be a free kick for Aston Villa.
Yeah, it was a good run from McGinn. I'm not sure he could have stayed on his feet here, but there was a little bit of contact, and the referee's given him the free kick. McGinn is claiming that perhaps there should be more punishment for Alderete because he was moving into the penalty area with menace, but to me, I think he could have stayed on his feet. I don't know, maybe not.
It's a difficult one. There's definitely contact from Omar Alderete. I don't think it's a yellow card or anything more. Just McGinn has a very quick feet there to get away from the Paraguayan. It's now in a position that is a really promising chance here for the Villains, providing the delivery is good. Wouldn't suggest going for goal directly, John McGinn, but maybe a cross-turn shot that wrong foots Robin Roofs could be an option. Onana, Konsa, Mings, Watkins, Barkley, Rogers, all in the area to aim for.
Yeah, I think he's going for goal here. You'll take one look at Enzo Lefebvre as the man in the wall. Oh no, he's played it short.
Yeah, he's played it short to Tielemans. Tielemans to Ian Matson. A little bit of a waste of a free kick here, but they still hold on to possession. McGinn takes on his man, tries to get that half yard of space for a cross. Eventually does get a effort in, that's blocked by Siddiqui. McGinn, Tielemans, drops the shoulder to get away from Lefebvre. Shepherded away by Granit Xhaka. The pass doesn't take a touch off the Swiss international. The clearance by Lefebvre comes into Barkley. That will be a free kick. And a real waste, really, for Aston Villa. What was a decent opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was lining up for the shot, and then last minute he's changed his mind to just pass it to the edge of the box. Sunderland weren't fooled by it at all. They got out, defended the situation well, and now they've got to throw in to get out of trouble.
Needs to be a good long throw here from the Black Cats, right in front of the travelling fans as well. Manildo Mandava with the throw, well intercepted by Onana, and he recycles possession well to find Ezri Konsa. He spreads the ball over for Mings, over the top for Matson, who chests it down well, and Rigg gets a touch to it that just hits the Dutchman last. There will be a throw-in for Sunderland on the far side. It was such a quick start to the game, the opening 10 minutes, plenty of attacks and momentum from both sides, chances at both ends. But it has waned quite significantly ever since that equaliser for the Black Cats.
Yeah, momentarily. I mean, there's a great finish from Rigg. We've just seen it again. Really good strike from him for his first ever Premier League goal. He's shown up really well in the game so far from what I can see, but I think Enzo Lefebvre is the one who's struggling. Villa players are making a lot of runs off the back of him. It's almost like the game plan is to target Lefebvre when you've got the ball, get midfield runners in a one-on-one with him. He will not track them all the way back into the penalty area, so that there's joy to be had in getting the ball behind Enzo Lefebvre when he's marking whichever Villa midfielder it is. Something they've consistently tried to play on.
Both sides with 3 shots apiece, coming 2 on target for Sunderland compared to Villa's 1. Of course, that one being the opening goal as Barkley boulders into Siddiqui, who's in a spot of bother here. little bit of a stoppage whilst he see if he's going to be okay to continue. He's helped onto his feet by a Villa and Sunderland man, who looks like he will be okay to run this off. The midfielder, as Peterborough United have just equalised at home against Burton Albion. Looks like Harry Leonard has got what could be a crucial equaliser for the Posh there in what is a bit of a relegation 6-pointer. Both these sides, as it stands, would be 4 points clear of the bottom 4, with just 2 games left to play, so inching closer to safety in League One. Here in possession now is Noah Siddiqui for Sunderland.
He's still limping a bit, isn't he?
He is, he's still not moving too comfortably. Ball works its way back for Mandava. Heaps of space here for Sunderland, not really being pressurised high up the field by any man in claret and blue. The ball works its way out wide for Luke O'Neill. A forceful shove on Chris Rigg. No foul, says Sam Barrett. Ball over the top, won't find Brian Brobby, who was coming back from an offside position anyway. Aston Villa restart things from their own half. Looks like they're just getting back to a period of dominance now, are the Villains, in terms of possession, making it more and more difficult for the Black Cats to do anything with it. It's a lovely crossfield pass will set off Maatsen, who drives into the area, being well watched by Nordi Mukiele. Fantastic defending by the former PSG and Leipzig man. Got in front of Maatsen and utilises pace and strength to perfection.
Yeah, they tried to spring Maatsen a couple of times down that left-hand side now. He makes a good run from a deep position. Rigg can't track him on this occasion, but Mukiele just lengthens his stride there and catches up to him and then manages to shepherd it behind for the goal kick.
Fantastic defending by the Frenchman. Would not give up the chase. And then just leaned into Maatsen to utilise his pace and strength. Wonderful play in order to ensure that went out for a goal kick, as Robin Roofs rolls that out for Habib Diarra. O'Neill finding support in Mukiele. Not the grace of touches there by the Frenchman, but it then spurns off his boot to fall to Maatsen on the left-hand side. Turns away from Mukiele. Keep the attack going in terms of going backwards for Tyrone Mings. In for Rogers. A few 1-2s between Mings and Rogers. Now with Tielemans. Finding support again in Mings. Biding their time patiently are the Villains, as all 11 players are back behind the ball for Sunderland for the time being. Konsa to Cash on the right-hand side. They've just forced to play it around their defence for this period are the hosts. Playing into Sunderland's hands, they're not really being troubled too much with this period of play. So Nana goes back towards Mings on the halfway line. Chance now for Tielemans, who immediately looks up and fires it into Ian Matts on the left-hand side. He looks to find Ollie Watkins, well dealt with by Luke O'Neill in the right place at the right time to fire that ball away from danger. Tielemans goes down looking for a foul, isn't going to go his way. Diarra then loses out to Matts, and that will be a free kick. And a chance for Sunderland to restart things from their own half. We are past the halfway stage of this first period, though. It is Aston Villa 1, Sunderland 1, and it will be Cy Barlow that will look to take you through to half-time.
Cheers, Will. Yeah, it's been an intense start, hasn't it? You know, I think it's one of the underrated things that Sunderland have done this season. You know, obviously a lot of their transfer business was dissected because it was quite a high spend, and they were coming from the Championship and replaced almost the whole team with a lot of new signings. You know, the signing of Xhaka was obviously there for the dressing room and his experience, but they signed a lot of legs as well, haven't they? Lefay down the left-hand side. I mean, like really strong, hard-running players in midfield and defence. We saw Mukiele, you know, sprint back to get the better of Maatsen a few minutes ago. You know, that sort of recovery pace he just didn't have in the Championship. Didn't need it in the Championship, but in the Premier League, you've got to be able to run back towards your own goal and, you know, get forward down the flanks as well with a lot of pace, and they've got all that in abundance. So no surprise really they've been able to match Villa for the intensity in these opening 25 minutes. Good clearance from Martinez now, finds Cash down the right side. He knocks it back to McGinn. McGinn back to full fitness after that spell out he had in January, February time. They dropped a lot of points in that period, didn't they? Aston Villa, obviously Tielemans was out as well, but now those two back in the engine room makes a big difference. Tielemans now on the ball, finds Maatsen. Gets it back again, the Belgian plays it across the halfway line to Ezri Konsa. Tielemans again, Sunderland, everybody behind the ball here in their blue and white change colours. Back from Rodgers, quiet start to the game from the England man. Back across to the right now, they try with Konsa. Again, he's just not fancying the pass out towards Cash, so it goes back in field to Mings. Mings threads the line to find Barkley. Barkley turns away from Alderete. Good recovery challenge comes in though from Siddiqui. He's upended by Amadou Onana. The ball goes out of play for a throw in. Sunderland want the throw. Sam Barrett's not made a clear indication yet, but it is Sunderland's ball. Siddiqui seems to have shaken off that knock he got earlier on. Plays it back to Alderete. Clip pass forward up towards Habib Diarra. In fact, this is Brobby giving chase. Brobby's going to go all the way back towards Martinez now with a back pass from Mings, but in the end he gives it up because the ball is back with the Villa goalkeeper. And he takes his time here before kicking long down the centre of the pitch. Up towards Watkins. Watkins well dealt with there by a knee. Rigg knocks it back to Alderete. One apiece with 26 minutes gone in this clash between European hopefuls. Villa, you would think, would be more than just European hopefuls because they're in the Europa League semi-finals with a big game against Nottingham Forest to come. Or two big games against Nottingham Forest to come. I think next month those matches, aren't they?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, obviously going to be favourites to progress past Forest to get to the Europa League final. You'd probably say Aston Villa are the favourites to win that entire contest, considering how good they are domestically. They're looking almost certain to get Champions League football again next season, even without the Europa League.
Good ball into the box from Alderete towards the far post, just beyond Brobby, but Rigg recycles back to the edge of the box now. Turned back by Mukiele to Diarra. Diarra tries to feed it through to the onrushing Lefebvre, but there first was Mings, whose clearance up the line is controlled by Watkins. Back to Mings now. Tielemans turns away from Diarra, who brings him down, but the referee says play on. Habib Diarra in possession for Sunderland. Knocks it back to the halfway line now with Alderete. Diarra again, picking it up from deep. Sweeps it wide to O'Neill. Sunderland giving as good as they get in the early stages of this game. With a free kick down the right hand side for a hold by Watkins. He's complaining to the referee that O'Neill went down cheaply, but I think he did have hold of him there.
Yeah, I mean, O'Neill is a little bit of a master of the dark art in that regards. He's decent at drawing fouls and riling up the opposition. He does go down a little bit cheaply, but I still think it is a free kick nevertheless from Ollie Watkins. Big goal in the Merseyside derby. Everton 1-0 up at home against Liverpool. Iliman Ndiaye getting on the score sheets.
Free kick Sunderland, right hand side, two over it are Xhaka and Lefebvre, the left footed and right footed options. Xhaka is just beckoning for somebody in that penalty area to come a little bit closer. Not sure whether he will be the one to pull rank on the free kick then. Mukiele, O'Neill, Alderete, there's defenders lurking back post. He's played it in short towards the near post and Brobby gets it back again now. Tries to thread it through. That free kick will have to go back to the training ground, I think, although it does seem as though a deflection has taken it behind for a Sunderland corner.
It has. It's a really good pressure by Ian Matson to try and put the pressure on for that free kick. And Xhaka does clearly come off the toe of Ian Matson. It's a Stonewall corner kick. Looks like that opening of Everton has just been chalked off by VAR due to an offside in the build-up.
Sunderland corner over on the right to be taken by the Swiss international midfielder Xhaka. Lots of movement in the 6-yard box. Again, he plays it short. Now he whips it in from a different angle towards the back post, and the keeper was struggling, but it goes behind for a goal kick.
Well, that's a wicked delivery in. It's never looking likely to actually find a man in blue at the far post for it to be like a meaningful ball into the area, but it has Martinez backpedaling so severely, and for a brief moment I thought it might just dip in at the far post. It's not too far away at all there from the Swiss man.
And Villa getting themselves in a pickle here by playing out from the back from that goal kick. Eventually Mings puts his big size 13s through it and gets it away. Headed back by Xhaka to Diarra, goes back to the halfway line. Sunderland sort themselves out. Now with Alderete pushing forward to find Lefebvre on the half turn. Down the line it goes towards Reynaldo Mandava. Nice little jink inside from him that he's cut off there by Matty Cash's recovery. Battling away with the Polish international. He's brought him down. It's going to be a free kick to Villa in the right back position.
Well, I mean, after looking like they just took the lead, chalked off for offside. A minute later, Liverpool now take the lead. Mohamed Salah has given the Reds the one-up over their toffee rivals.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of a goal-scoring record against Everton, hasn't he, in derbies, Mo Salah. Maybe no great surprise that he would have an impact in his final Merseyside derby. Of course, unless he signed for Everton next season.
Wonder what the odds on that would be.
1-1, 30 minutes gone at Villa Park, and a free kick to Villa just outside the penalty area to be taken by the goalkeeper, Martinez. As we still wait for him to address the ball. Now it goes up towards the front players, as headed away by Alderete. Drops over the head of Diarra. Brobby chases, but it's fly hacked clear by Mings again. Now facing his own goal, Mandava. Reynildo Mandava gets a good back header to Roofs, who can pick it up. He also missed a few games recently, didn't he, Robin Roofs? And what a signing he was as well. After one season as a starter in Dutch football, he was picked up very cheaply, really, by Sunderland, and he's been one of the top keepers this season, I think, in the Premier League.
He has. You'd probably say, with the sheer amount of money that Sunderland spent in the summer to do their best to stay up in the division, you can't say many of their signings have been duds. All of them have played a major part in staying up this season and making a surprise European push. I mean, for me, I still think their best signing of the summer is Granit Xhaka, but him, Mukiele and Robin Roofs can all make a strong case.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough award, the Sunderland Player of the Year award, isn't it, this season at the end of the campaign, as Mukiele lets the ball roll out for a throw-in right in front of Unai Emery, who's, again, his usual ball of energy and excitement on the sideline, demanding more intensity from his players. Sunderland throw the ball back to O'Neill and Alderete. Paraguayan knocks it into Sadiki's feet. He turns away from Barkley, knocks it back to Alderete, now fed into Lefay. The midfield carousel continues to turn there for Sunderland, but there's no pass through that strong Villa midfield. Now Xhaka's come short, but Roofs pumps it long towards Brobby. He rises early, but he's beaten in the air though by Mings. Picked up by Rigg on the second ball. Now there's a squabble on the halfway line between Brobby and Mings, but the ball's broken Lefay's way. Couldn't quite take it, but Mandava's in to help out. He plays it wide now to the left-hand side for Sadiki. Slip to Lefay, pulls the trigger for a shot. No, he chips it into the box and it's headed away by Mings. Felt like it was there for him to pull the trigger, but he didn't really have the conviction. But Mukiele's won it back. He tries to feed a crossing off the legs of Martin out for a throw.
Yeah, it looked for all the world that he was going to pull the trigger there, Enzo Lefay, but just decided to drop the shoulder at the last. I think we're having a stoppage here. Sam Barrett just have a few words with Tyrone Mings and Brian Brobby due to that collision in the middle of the park. They got a little bit feisty, to say the least.
Yeah, Brobby is obviously the only striker in this Sunderland side, and he tends to really sort of put his body around, and Tyrone Mings came through him there, clattered him on the back of his neck with a forearm, and then held him down initially and then dragged him down again. I mean, I think there's potentially 3 fouls there from Tyrone Mings that weren't spotted by the referee.
Yeah, I can only assume the referee thought it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but looking at the replay, it does seem to be the vast majority of Mings being the aggressor than Brobby.
Long throw-in comes from the right side by O'Neill, but it's straight at Martinez, who gathers with a high claim inside his 6-yard box and tries to get Villa started again. The ball pumped long off his right boot towards Watkins, who lets it run beyond him. He's in a foot race now with Mandava. Still going here, Watkins, towards the corner flag, trying to round him on the outside. Does it initially pretty well before Mandava then cuts him off, with the ball bouncing on the edge of the box to McGinn, who chops inside, goes back onto his right foot, sends it back for a shot from Amadou Onana, easily blocked and cleared away by the Black Cats. You've got to feel sorry for Brian Brobby in that last tussle with Mings. He was definitely being fouled and didn't get the decision, but Sunderland were on the counter-attack and the referee potentially let it go because of that. But then again, I think when you pull it back, you could possibly give Mings a yellow card, but he's not done that. And it remains 1-1 with 10 minutes left until the break. Villa have it with Tielemans, who carries it forward and tries to send a pass into Morgan Rogers. Can he get Rogers going in this game? Still fairly innocuous or fairly invisible character in the game. Now down the right hand side we've got Cash. feeding McGinn. He's certainly not been invisible. He's been very influential in the game so far. Now Mings again plays it towards Barkley on the edge of the box. Barkley on his left foot, wants it on his right, knocks it back to Tielemans. Now Amadou Onana in a little triangle of claret and blue. They go wide again to Maatsen. Sunderland dropping off here, quite deep inside their own penalty area. Now Rodgers does well. Leaves it for Barkley. Played back to Tielemans, who gets his head up but can't deliver a pass. Has to go back closer to the halfway line now with Mings. It's patient this from Aston Villa though. They're trying to just spring the right type of pass through that Sunderland defensive structure. Haven't quite found it yet. They'll try again out on the left with Maatsen. Back to Tielemans. And Sunderland pushing out with Xhaka organising there, telling Robbie where to go. Now Villa try Maatsen again, left-hand side up against Rigg. Rigg defended him pretty well so far, and again he stops his progress. Comes back to Rodgers. He rolls his foot over the ball and goes on the outside of Mukiele. Stops him. Goes back to try and get half a yard again. Still going here. Rodgers. That's a good through ball to Maatsen, who puts the ball into the 6-yard box, and it's headed home by Watkins. A beautifully constructed goal by Aston Villa, and Morgan Rodgers finally has a say in this match with a threaded through ball to a teammate who got a really good cross in towards Watkins for his second header of the game.
Yeah, fantastic play by Morgan Rodgers. As you say, just drew Mukiele further and further out of position, playing a gorgeous pass to the underlapping run of Ian Maatsen, who was able to whip in such a dangerous ball in at the byline. And Watkins just wasn't picked up by any man in blue. But it's gorgeous play between Rodgers and Maatsen, and it's the simplest of headers for Ollie Watkins. They've had the dominance in terms of possession since that equalising goal for Sunderland, but Villa thoroughly deserving this second, and Watkins won't get too many easier headers in both of these goals in this first half.
Yeah, great ball in from Maatsen, but the Rodgers skill and the way he just released that pass at the perfect time. It's like he's dancing on the ball. He's got his head up and he knows exactly when the right moment is to play the pass. Got the weight of the pass correctly for Maatsen to deliver a fantastic ball. Watkins' 11th Premier League goal this season. 2-1 Villa.
Yep, but Sunderland's, you can't write them off whenever they go behind. They will come straight back at you. So these, I mean, I would say the next 5 minutes, but really up until the end of this first half, this could be the most dangerous area for Aston Villa. They can't afford to allow Sunderland just to hit them straight back once again. They need to hold their own, but they might not.
Siddiqui's got the better of Cash. He's driven into the penalty area with a left foot cut back. It's blocked by Amadou Onana behind for a corner. But there you go. That's exactly what you were saying. You know, Sunderland at their most dangerous when behind, and they thrust again from the left-hand side with Siddiqui.
Yeah, it was really well played there by Siddiqui, just to get away from Matty Cash after he stumbled, drove into the area. He's trying to cut the ball back where they've got 2 Sunderland men waiting to launch it towards goal. In the end, there's just too many players in claret and blue just to shut off the shooting angles.
Black Cap's corner from the left-hand side, going to be swung in right-footed. Lots of blue shirts lurk at the far post. It's Xhaka's ball in, headed away by Barkley. Comes back to the halfway line. Reinildo Mandava switches the play across to the opposite flank for Alderete's offside as he wins that header. It's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa in the left-back position. Still 0-0 in the match between Villa's Europa League semi-final opponents Nottingham Forest and Burnley, and it's still only that Mo Salah goal that separates them on Merseyside.
We're been getting the all the joy in terms of goals today, but I would be very surprised if this is going to be the end of the goal scoring. We're just seeing Ollie Watkins. He struggled with form for long swathes of the season, but his last 5, he has been absolutely fantastic. 6 goals now scored in his last 5 games. Brace against Bologna, one against West Ham, another one against Bologna at home, the second leg. Brace as well today. In fact, it's only the away 1-1 draw at Nottingham Forest is the only game in the last 5 that he hasn't found the back of the net.
Yeah, he's obviously making a case for himself to get back into that England squad. I think, you know, being left out of the last England squad by Thomas Tuchel really did give him that sort of extra incentive if he needed one. You know, he's obviously a lot to play for this season at Villa, but it's funny, isn't it, how his best goal scoring period of the season has come as soon as he was left out by England.
Yes, it is exactly right. It's probably, you'd have to ask him whether or not there is a link and causality there. But I think he's definitely the best backup option to Harry Kane that England have. Not only that, he offers something different, because all the other extra strikers that England are seemingly toying with, particularly like you're looking at sort of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for example, very similar sort of profile in terms of, you know, he's a physical body in the air just to sort of lump a ball into the box with. Watkins, he gives you that pace in behind, which I don't really think we have any other central striker that actually offers that going forward.
Possibly the signing of Tammy Abraham also gave him that extra kick up the backside if it was needed. Now there's a foul by John McGinn in midfield. The Villa captain forcefully disputing that to referee Sam Barrett, but it's a free kick to Sunderland just outside the centre circle. And maybe a chance for them to load the box from a free kick. Just 5 minutes left in the first half. Unai Emery strokes his chin and considers what he might need to do to wrap up the points in the second half. He's not happy with the shape of his team defending this free kick, and he's desperately trying to get somebody moved. Xhaka on the ball then. Playing this one towards the edge of the penalty area. Alderete rises, gets the header back in. It's going to drop on the edge too. Oh, to Siddiqui in his effort. He's blocked by Amadou Onana. Onana behind for a corner.
Oh, how on earth has that not ended up in the back of the net? It's one of those efforts that you dream of as a player. It just wasn't cleared well by Aston Villa. Comes off Mings. It falls so kindly to Siddiqui, who for some reason, rather than just putting his laces through it, he's just trying to pass it into the back of the net. Doesn't get any power behind it. Comfortably blocked in the end by Onana to send it out of play for a corner kick, but he's got to be doing better there.
Yeah, they're still creating chances, the Black Cats. They've got another corner here to be taken by Lefay. It goes in low towards the near post, where coming off there was, I think that's Granit Xhaka, isn't it? Now he's got a chance to cross it, edge of the penalty here, but the referee's given offside. Wow. That is some call. And is it on Lefay or is it on Xhaka?
If it's on Xhaka, that is unbelievable to be offside at a corner. It's very, very bizarre. We'd have to see a replay. I can only assume it's Enzo Lefay on the return pass. Either way, it's a really poor corner kick routine from Sunderland, and it's a gift of possession straight back to the Villains.
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier one of their free kick routines was straight back to the training ground. I mean, that is definitely something that has not been nailed down correctly. If Enzo Lefay has purposely played in a short corner there, low to Granit Xhaka's feet, and the idea is that Xhaka then passes it back to him, and he's offside. That is a basic that has to be sorted out. Alderete volleys it forward, picked up by Cash, who faces his own goal, playing a little bit conservatively and back towards Martinez, who takes a touch inside his own box, plays it out towards Tielemans. Laid off to Konsa. Sunderland trying to press here through Brobbey, but goes back to Martinez again. Hoisted high up towards halfway, where McGinn brings it down with a great first touch. Knocks it back to McGinn. Knocks it back to Mings, and he releases Maatsen down the left. The architect of Villa's second goal tries to find Rodgers, but Mukiele beats him to it, knocks it out for a throw. Short to Rodgers. A few Villa fans have headed off to get their half-time Bovril. Would you drink Bovril on a warm spring day like this? Probably not. It's a winter drink, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be questioning your sanity if that was the drink you went to on a warm weekend afternoon.
On ball forward from Martinez. It's going to release Rodgers, is it? No, back there to head. Clear was Mukiele. Now O'Neill with the next header. Won back by Onana. Here's Rodgers. Threading it into the box for Maatsen again. Well blocked by O'Neill, but again the link up there between Rodgers and Maatsen down the left is a real problem that Sunderland have to stop. Yeah,
they really, really need to find a way to stop this link-up play. Maatsen trying to play the ball across the face for a hat-trick for Ollie Watkins in the first half. This time O'Neill getting tighter to Maatsen to make the block, but all of their joy is coming down that left-hand side at the moment.
Yeah, it's a corner. I thought it was a throw-in, but it's a corner actually to Aston Villa now, through Tielemans to take it. few Sunderland players shaking their heads. The body language is a little bit despondent here. Here comes the short corner, whipped in towards the near post and headed away by Alderete. Gathered about 40 yards out by McGinn, who assesses his options, wants to go back towards where the corner was taken from, but Maatsen can't find the angle, goes back to the Scotsman, and he plays it back to his goalkeeper, who's well outside his penalty area. So the fourth official board is about to go up, tell us how much stoppage time to be played at the end of the first half. And Martinez has retreated almost to the edge of his penalty area. He's just wasting time. And the answer is 2 minutes of stoppage time to be played. Now he kicks long, the Argentinian, up towards Watkins, who's on a hat-trick, of course, but can't get the better of two Sunderland defenders. Now Roofs to clear. Hits it back into Villa territory and it goes out for a throw-in. Well, good response there from Villa to the promptings of Unai Emery, who's desperate for them to press and get on top of Sunderland. Think they just about deserve this 2-1 lead at half-time?
I think they do. Yeah, I mean, Sunderland have definitely had prolonged swathes of being the dominant side and have created some really clear-cut opportunities. But in terms of their possession and how dangerous they've been on the wings overall in this first half, I think Aston Villa do deserve the lead. And defensively, Sunderland just haven't been good enough today. I think that will change in the second half. I think there's more goals in this game as well. So both these sides are in for a mammoth future 45 minutes.
Yeah, next goal could be crucial, couldn't it? I think if Villa were to score it and go 3-1 up, it might be game, set and match. If Sunderland score it, it's game back on. There's the foul there on Tyrone Mings. And Martinez is going to take this from completely the wrong position. The foul was clearly outside the penalty area. He's moved the ball inside the box to take it. Don't think there's too many complaints from Sunderland, though, as they're just waiting for this half-time whistle to go. Martinez kicks it long. Rogers rises, but he's beaten by Mukiele. It's going to bounce in midfield. Onana back to Rogers. Feeds it on to Watkins. Laid off to Maatsen again down the left. Rogers comes short. Tries to swivel away from two Sunderland players. Can't feed it back inside towards Barkley. And now Xhaka, being held back by Watkins, gets his clearance away. Villa on the halfway line now. Go back to the keeper. And Sunderland look like they are going to head down the tunnel at half-time with a 2-1 deficit. Referee checks his watch and brings the half to an end. So an Ollie Watkins double either side of a lovely first ever Premier League goal from Chris Rigg mean that at half-time at Villa Park it's Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1.
Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Rigg's first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Maatsen to give Villa that half-time advantage. It is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Rigg's first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Maatsen to give Villa that half-time advantage.
Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it's Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains a lead after just a minute and a half, after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man, who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike, a beautiful curled effort into the bottom corner for Watkins, again nodded home after some wonderful work from Morgan Rogers and Ian Matson to give Villa that half-time advantage. Half-time, it is Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 1. Ollie Watkins giving the Villains the lead after just a minute and a half after a lovely lobbed cross in by John McGinn, found the head of the former Brentford man who managed to nod home from close range. The equalising goal came after the 8th minute. Chris Riggs' first ever Premier League strike.
We are back underway for the second half of this contest between Aston Villa and Sunderland. 2-1 to the Villains after the first period of 45 minutes, but definitely plenty of opportunities for both these sides in that first 45 to score more than they actually did. Sunderland have possession with Rigg trying to chip the ball over the top for Diarra, and it will find the number 19 of Sunderland. Rolling it in for Xhaka, just so well to recover, picking up on the stretch. Doesn't look like there was any change at the half-time interval either, so we'll just run you through the lineups once again in due course once this attack for Sunderland is over, as McGinn does so well to take it off the toe of Omar Alderete. Now an opportunity here for the villains. Barkley has Watkins and Rogers to his left, threads it in for Watkins. Watkins first time ball to Morgan Rogers. What a move! Morgan Rogers, what a finish! Fantastic counter-attacking goal, and Aston Villa have put Sunderland to the sword, and it's another early strike. They scored within 1.5 minutes in the first half. This one even quicker in the second. 3-1 now to Aston Villa.
Yeah, Morgan Rogers does really well to take this ball and finish in one move, down, from back to front in about 3 passes. Watkins does really well as well. The weighted pass from him is excellent. McGinn's pressing, wins it back from Ronaldo, and then he feeds it inside. Barkley shrugs off a attempted challenge from O'Neill, and then Diarra, first time pass from Watkins, excellent. Not easy to take for Rogers, but he brings it down and with one move really just caresses it home with his left foot to make it 3-1, and potentially now that's the points in the bag for Villa.
Yeah, of course there is still plenty of time for things to change, but that is a massive goal for the villains. Nothing that Robin Roofs can do about that. It's perfectly into the side netting. Just completely carving open the Black Cats, showing their class together. Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins. It's almost certain that Morgan Rogers will be named in the World Cup squad for Thomas Tuchel's England. Well, with 2 goals and assists today, it's going to be even more difficult for Thomas Tuchel to overlook Ollie Watkins with the performance he's putting in today on its own.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the squad place is absolutely assured. It's whether he's going to start, isn't it? But as you say, I mean, hard to ignore his claims after the influence he's had on this game today and others recently as well.
It is Emi Martinez for Aston Villa. So just to run you through the lineups once again. For the villains, Martinez in goal, Cash, Konsa, Mings, Matson in the back 4, Onana and Tielemans the holding midfielders, Rogers, Barkley, McGinn playing behind Ollie Watkins as the lone striker. For Sunderland, Roofs in goal, Mandava, Alderete, O'Neill and Mukiele in the defence, Xhaka and Siddiqui the holding midfielders, Rig, Diarra and Lefay playing behind Brian Brobby as John McGinn drives forward, finds Matt Cash who tries to return the favour, well intercepted by Enzo Lefay, who then goes down to the deck. It's a little bit unfortunate there for John McGinn. Yes, there's a slight push, but for me it's more Enzo Lefay standing on the ball and losing his footing. Yeah,
it was clever, Lefay, in that situation. He sort of almost heard the hoofs of the Villa man coming behind him, and he flattened him basically, but he definitely, as soon as he felt any kind of contact, went to ground.
As it stands, Aston Villa 4th place on 48 points, no, 58 points I should say, level with 3rd place Manchester United. That top 5 currently in the Champions League spots, surely that is that certain, because there's quite a healthy gap now currently between Chelsea and Liverpool, with Liverpool obviously beating Everton. If Liverpool were to hold on for all 3 points at Everton, is that their Champions League spot secured?
Almost, yeah. I don't want to say 100% because Chelsea still play Liverpool, don't they? Might even be coming up actually, that game. It's definitely a game which Chelsea have to win now. Before you would have said Chelsea perhaps might have been able to draw that game and still get enough points to overhaul Liverpool or Villa or Man United if they have a Devon lock or something like that. But right now, I think Chelsea got to win every single game, particularly the one against Liverpool.
Just to confirm, in League One, it finished Peterborough United 1, Burton Albion 1. And currently there is a new League One game that's kicked off at 3 o'clock between Port Vale and Wigan. Port Vale only have to win to stand any hope of producing a miracle recovery to stay up in League One. That game currently goalless. We'll keep you up to date with any goals that are scored in that game. Alongside the other 2 Premier League games, currently Everton 0, Liverpool 1, and Nottingham Forest 0, Burnley 1. Burnley scoring just before half-time and just after the half-time whistle blew. In our game, Zion Fleming giving the Clarets the lead in that one, as they look to try and instill a bit more belief that they can also produce a shock and recover and be safe in the Premier League, as Onana finds Rogers, Barkley, somehow keeps it in play, but then loses out to Chris Rigg, who holds on to it and lays it towards the left-hand side in Omar Alderete. Mandava in support on the left-hand side will utilise the Mozambique international. Dangerous ball in left by Brobby. I don't think Chris Rigg was expecting him to leave that. He can't keep the ball in play either, and that'll be a throw-in to Aston Villa right on this near right-hand side touchline.
Yeah, disappointing that. Brobby, made his move quite late there to leave that one. I think the ball was behind him, but he was hoping that Rigg was on the same wavelength. Unfortunately, he wasn't, and the cross goes harmlessly out for a throw-in.
Long ball by Matson with the long throw. Watkins cushions the pass down, but it is picked off by Enzo Lefebvre, who then loses out to Matson. His first touch is heavy, and Mukiele will recover to take the throw in. Back it goes for Granit Xhaka. He will lay that back for O'Neill, back towards the Sunderland captain. Took the armband off of Luke O'Neill. The central defender slowly bringing the ball forward, finding support in Lefebvre. O'Neill away from Barkley. Goes over towards the right-hand side in Lefebvre once more. Down the line for Mukiele, well intercepted there by Morgan Rogers at the last. Mukiele stayed down on the deck, he's in a spot of bother. The attack will continue for Aston Villa. Mukiele hobbles himself back onto his feet, but there could be a counter-attack on here for Aston Villa. Should Matty Cash keep the ball in play? On the slide, he can't quite keep the ball in, and Sunderland are able to recover. Here is Alderete, inching his way further forward.
I thought that may have been a foul by Rogers down in the near the edge of the Villa penalty area there. Mukiele was making a good run, and I think he was making the challenge from a bad position. He must have got some of the ball for the referee not to have given it, and there weren't that many complaints from Sunderland players.
No, not at all. They were happy just to have the game continue. Sunderland aren't really a side of players that like to stay down just for the sake of it. Mukiele goes towards Granit Xhaka, towards the left-hand side. They've got to score the next goal, Sunderland, and realistically, they probably have to say they've got to score in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so to really give them the best chance of coming away with something in this contest. Mandava to Siddiqui. Tries to turn away from Matty Cash, who's stuck with him so resolutely. Lefebvre. Mandava. Lefebvre surely has been caught there by Amadou Onana. That will be a free kick, and now a chance for the visitors to whip the ball into the area.
Yeah, I mean, it's a foul, without a doubt. He's grabbed hold of him and sort of dragged him to the ground. The referee's not going to miss that. I'm not sure Villa would be that bothered about having to defend a free kick, because, I mean, Sunderland had chances to put the ball in the box several times. They were just seeing this challenge. He got some of the ball, didn't he? A little bit of the ball. For me, he's tackling from such a bad position. I would still give that as a foul. He's chopped off Mukiele in his prime as he's going towards the penalty area there. Gets a little bit of the ball, which is what has got him off scot-free, and they didn't concede a free kick, but they have now. But like I say, I don't think Villa will be too bothered about defending this free kick, because Sunderland had ample chances to put the ball in from open play and didn't.
It's Lefebvre's delivery, headed away well by Ezri Konsa, mopped up by Mukiele. Pressure from Ian Matson is sublime to force the ball back towards O'Neill, who plays the crossfield pass, headed away by McGinn, chested down by Chris Rigg, who will force it out towards Mukiele, who is sluggish, and Ian Matson intercepts, and now an opportunity on the counter here for Aston Villa. He finds Ross Barkley, who's absolutely clattered by Granit Xhaka. No foul, but really poor pass by the Swiss international as it goes straight out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, Xhaka was just lying in wait, wasn't he, for that pass from Matson to come and seize upon it and take down Barkley as well. It was really expertly timed from the Swiss international, but then he's wasted the pass forward.
Equalising goal for Everton against Liverpool. Beto sliding in to give the Toffees the equalising goal there in the first Merseyside derby at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. So one apiece in that derby. Big goal there for the Toffees. Still on course, of course, for a shock push for a European spot.
Yeah, of course, good goal for Chelsea as well. Just mentioning the prospects of the top five, staying in the top five. Well, if Liverpool weren't to win that one today, it just keeps Chelsea within sort of just close enough to threaten them for that fifth place.
Of course, Everton, with this draw, if they hold on, they would be level on points with Chelsea, who currently occupy 6th place. As McGinn puts across into the area, Watkins looking for his hat-trick goal. It was blocked. Then Barkley's effort is well saved by Robin Roofs, and Sunderland can look to clear their lines. That had to end up in the back of the net.
Yeah, he slipped. You know, the cutback was really good. It was another fantastic move from Villa. Again, Rodgers involved, and just as the ball came to Watkins, he slipped. There's a chance though for Rodgers, and his shot is blocked by Mandava. And Sunderland get it away. They're living dangerously. I said that in the first half as well about Sunderland, because Villa have really stepped it up in the last few minutes.
They have. They are pressing for a fourth. It's looking dangerous here for the Black Caps as John McGinn brings the ball down. Looks for a bit of support and goes back towards Amadou Onana. Rolls it in for Cash inside the area. He digs out a cross. Headed away well by Alderete, but straight back to Aston Villa and Amadou Onana. Looking for any movement ahead of him. Everyone very sluggish and static at the moment for the Villains. On the right hand side with possession is Onana as he goes back towards the centre circle in Tyrone Mings. Happy enough just to hold on to possession. They don't need to go for the jugular or push for another goal here. They've got a comfortable lead and comfortable gap and advantage. They don't need to overexert themselves, sir.
No, absolutely right. I think they're managing the game well. And you know, you mentioned there was a bit static there, and they weren't really looking like they were going to open Sunderland up, so they've just gone back. You know, they've gone back to try to stretch the Sunderland side, and one long ball over the top against Watkins, one-on-one with Alderete, although the defender did well on this occasion.
Yeah, he's done very well there, the Paraguayan, to ensure Watkins doesn't have that chance for the hat-trick goal. Threaded pass looking for Brian Brobby, comfortably cleared away by Emi Martinez, who was quick out of his area and spotted the danger early. Tielemans is knocked down. We'll find Ross Barkley towards Amadou Onana. Right hand side is Cash. Finding support in Tielemans, who can inch his way further up the field, and he'll find Tyrone Mings. Back towards Yuri Tielemans once more. 57, almost 58 minutes gone in this contest. Remains Aston Villa 3, Sunderland 1. Onana lays that back for Tyrone Mings. Now with Martinez. Looks up and fires the ball forward. In this season so far, Sunderland have scored 23 of their 34 goals in the Premier League in the second half of games. So they're definitely not out of it yet. They're going to have to find another 2 just to come away with something in this contest. As McGinn will be held up by Enzo Lefebvre. Back it goes to Matty Cash. Onana. Poor ball by the Belgian, easily cut out by Granit Xhaka, and Brobby will help it on its way towards Diarra. Vital sliding interception by Tyrone Mings, but will fall to Nordi Mukiele, and the attack is still on here for the Black Cats. The back heel to Habib Diarra. Acres the space on the far side for Lefebvre if he can be found. He won't go to him, instead keeps it short to Rigg, who tries to return the favour to Habib Diarra. Another sloppy pass ends the attack.
Yeah, he's not having a good period, Rigg. You know, I thought towards the end of the first half he got tired and lacked, you know, the sort of defensive. Obviously, he caught for the third goal. Sorry, for the third goal in the game, which was Villa's second when that pass was made by Rodgers to Martson. And I think his second half performance has been disappointing. So it would not surprise me if Reggie Labrie was to take off Chris Rigg and say thanks very much for your first Premier League goal, but we're going to try somebody else now.
Long ball by Martinez, headed away by Mandava. Kept on by Luke O'Neill, forcing it out wide. Oh, that's a really late sloppy tackle there by John McGinn. That will be a free kick. Is that going to be a yellow card? Looks like Sam Barrett is just going to award the free kick here. He's kept his cards close to his chest all day so far.
Yeah, there's not really been a bad tackle in the game, has there? There's been one or two, you know, slightly late ones, and you know, I think that sometimes the players have made a little bit more of it than it is needed to be, but the referee hasn't really had the need to issue a yellow card to keep discipline in this game. The sides have been well disciplined themselves.
Here in possession is Luke O'Neill for Sunderland. Over towards the left-hand side in Alderete. Lefebvre, Brobby. Back it goes for Xhaka. Attack still on here for the visitors. Mukiele, he tries to whip in across. That's well dealt with. And Villa will try and play their ball out from the back, then bundled over is Ian Matson, and that will be I thought it was going to be a free kick for Aston Villa, and I think that is going to be the case as well. It's Granit Xhaka a little bit late to the party.
Yeah, he's tried to almost make up the referee's mind there by going to take a throw in that was never going to be Sunderland, so referee given the free kick, and Villa get on with it. But they're coping well with Sunderland's press at the moment, aren't they? They're passing around them, they're winning free kicks in deep areas when they need to, and they're just managing the game really well, Villa.
McGinn holds off Mandava. Barkley rolls it in for Rodgers, who will now look to come forward. Watkins wants it in the middle. Ollie Watkins tries to get there in front of O'Neill, who slides in for the interception. The return across again by Rodgers is blocked, and eventually something clear their lines. But on the counter, they look so dangerous, Villa, particularly with how many gaps are now being shown in the Sunderland defence. Yeah,
that was a good moment for them. Perhaps should have killed it off there. I mean, Rodgers has got clean down the right-hand side. He looks up, sees Watkins. Watkins has made the wrong run for me. He's gone near post to try and get the first run on the defender, when I think Rodgers has got the ability to play it behind the defender. If he made a back post run there, he could have threaded that one through, and Watkins might have had a tap in at the back post, but he sort of forced Rodgers' hand by going towards the near post. We're going to see a change here. Two changes actually, I think, coming up for Sunderland, and it looks like Dan Ballard's going to come on for them.
Yep, he's making his return from injury, missing the last 2 games with a muscle problem. Dan Ballard is going to return to the centre of the defence. It looks like it is Omar Alderete that is going to make way for the Black Cats. And it's a big moment for Sunderland, the fact that Dan Ballard is back, because he's been one of their best players this season.
Yeah, ex-Arsenal, I think, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's been really classy. Obviously played a big part in the playoffs, getting them up last season as well, didn't he? Scored some goals from corners and set pieces, and maybe they have lacked a little bit of presence on attacking set pieces today. Kempstein Talby comes on as well. I'm not surprised that Rigg goes off. He had a bit of a shocker there, really. He scored his goal, and then it was a really poor performance after that. Triple change actually, because they're going to send on Tri Hume as well for Reynildo Mandava.
Yeah, Tri Hume entering the field of play just to get a bit more stuck in for Sunderland, with a little under half an hour of the mandatory 90 to go. Konza does so well there to play that back to Tyrone Mings. Another goal in the Premier League, big one in terms of the relegation battle, as Nottingham Forest have equalised at home against Burnley. It's Morgan Gibbs-White that has got on the score sheet. As it stands, it would move Forest up to 34 points, 3 points clear of the bottom 3. All eyes are very much be on the Monday night game between Crystal Palace and West Ham. Should West Ham win that one, it would mean Tottenham are 3 points adrift of safety after they were held to a 2-2 draw at home against Brighton yesterday afternoon.
Do you think Arsenal will miss the derbies next season?
I think there will be fans that definitely would. It's one of the sort of major fixtures in the footballing calendar for them, but this is uncharted territory. It wouldn't be something that they'll be used to. They definitely enjoy it though, as Rodgers puts the ball in dangerously, and it's Ollie Watkins that gets the glancing touch to it. Did that come off for Sunderland man last? It doesn't look like it has. It will be a goal kick for Sunderland, another let-off for them.
Yeah, this time he makes the right run, Watkins, so Rodgers is going to take on is a substitute, isn't it? Talby, who's just come on and fizzes a great ball into the near post. Watkins has made that run in an attempt to get there in front of Dan Ballard, and Dan Ballard just does enough there with a challenge to put him off. And it doesn't go goalward for his hat-trick.
It will actually be a corner kick, but it looks like it did come off of Dan Ballard last. So, corner kick for the Villains. Needs to be a decent delivery. Isn't a bad one. Mings rose high, punched away by Robin Roofs, and chance maybe here on the counter-attack here for Sunderland. It's a 5-on-3 if they're quick with it. Granit Xhaka coming forward, a support to his right in Habib Diarra. Here's Diarra. Villains trying to get back as quick as possible. Ball floated into the area, flicked away by Tielemans. Will it fall to Brian Brobby? No, just wouldn't bounce kindly for him. And Tielemans vitally getting the toe in to clear their lines. And now maybe Villa will try and hit Sunderland on the counter. Sloppy push by Habib Diarra. Free kick for Sunderland, and the first yellow card, with Diarra being shown the yellow. It's actually, Noah Siddiqui that's got the booking.
Yeah, just looking at the foul again. It's a blatant shove in the back on Tielemans, and the counter-attack was on there for Villa, so justifiable yellow card, no matter what the game situation was. Villa almost got caught on the counter-attack themselves moments ago. Player slipped on the edge of the box when they had that corner, and there was a really good counter-attack, sort of 4-on-3, I think, at one stage for Sunderland, and Xhaka played a good pass out to the right-hand side, and then the cross into the box there, I think, from Diarra just didn't have the requisite quality to threaten Villa, and credit to Villa as well for getting so many players back quickly to defend that situation.
Ball down the line, we'll find John McGinn poking it back for Matty Cash. Turns away from danger, lays that towards Ezri Konsa. In turn, we'll find Emi Martinez. He looks up and fires that ball towards the left-hand side for the run of Ollie Watkins, pressurising Luke O'Neill, who draws the foul. Has he won the free kick? He has not, but it will be a throw-in all the same for Aston Villa. O'Neill unable to keep the ball in play. Very fortunate decision there for the Villains.
Yeah, I mean, from the angle we got, I don't think the ball went out, did it? Does it? Yeah, maybe it does. It kind of rolls back onto the line off the body of O'Neill, so yeah, the linesman probably just about got that one right.
Xhaka turning away from Matson and playing it to Kemsy Talbi, who gets it out of his feet, headed away well by Tielemans, knocked down by Lefay. Diarra under pressure, bundled over by Ian Matson. And it will be Xhaka who restarts things from the free kick. Sadiki on this right-hand side. Still 3-1 to Aston Villa against Sunderland in this off-tube studio commentary. Of course, a big game in the Premier League later on this afternoon. You can also listen to on our service, which could be the title decider, Manchester City at home against Arsenal. O'Neill towards the right-hand side in Sadiki. Talbi looking to bring this ball further up the field. And Sadiki once more, away from Barkley. Rolling it back for Ballard. Diarra. Lovely through ball with Brobby onside. We'll have to wait and see. He's away from Konsa, gets a strike away, saved well by Martinez, hammered away by Tyrone Mings. Flag never went up.
No, he was onside. He timed it really well, and the Villa defence was a little bit uncertain there. Yeah, he lacks conviction with his finish, I think. He just manages to sneak back onside there, Brobby. The line was higgledy-piggledy, really, from Villa. Konsa and Mings weren't in a line, and like I say, his shot just lacked conviction. He went near post, and it was a pretty comfortable save and hacked away by Villa.
Yeah, very comfortable save for a keeper of Emi Martinez's quality. Long throw for the Black Cats into the danger area, headed away by Mings. Watkins helps it on his way, looking for Barkley, who skips away from Enzo Lefay, who will now try and drive forward here for Aston Villa. Doesn't have much in the way of support. Watkins and Rogers now coming forward. Barkley, he's done too much there. I think he never really knew which way he wanted to go, and just dallied far too long.
Yeah, he was definitely caught in two minds there, or maybe three minds about what to do, and in the end never released the ball, got tackled back by Sunderland, so the chance went begging. But there's a lot of transitions in this game now, aren't there? You're seeing both teams get good opportunities on counter-attacks, and it's all about which team can orchestrate it, can come up with a finish to either finish the game from Villa's point of view, or to save the game from Sunderland's point of view.
An opportunity here maybe for Sunderland. Really sloppy pass there, going straight out of play for a throw-in for Aston Villa deep inside their own half. We are past the halfway stage of this second half. It is 3-1 to Aston Villa against Sunderland, and it will be Cy Barlow that takes you through to full-time.
Yeah, a couple of swaps here for Unai Emery. He's taking off Ross Barkley, who's indecision on that last counter-attack. Well, I think he's probably made the decision before the indecision, if you like, of Barkley, but he's going to be replaced. And coming on for him is Emi Buendia, and then Luca Dean is coming on as well in the left back position for Ian Martin. He's put a good shift in, got up and down the pitch as best he can, and I think maybe he's just run out of gas a little bit, so Dean comes on for the final 20 minutes. Nottingham Forest, they've turned things around there at the City Ground.
Yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White with the second for the Tricky Trees. What could be a massive goal as they look to try and avoid the drop. As it stands, it would put them on to 36 points 5 points clear of 18th place Tottenham, and it could be massive considering they still have to juggle Europa League football as well for the remainder of the campaign, and gives them some potentially a winning form to go into the next game, which is away from home at Sunderland.
Sunderland on the ball. O'Neill plays it alongside him to Dan Ballard, who crosses the halfway line. He's finding a bit of a struggle to get a forward pass there, so goes back to his centre-back partner from last season. Ballard again receives the ball, moves into Villa territory, keeps on moving forward down the right, linking up with another substitute who's just come on there. As the ball goes out to the left-hand side now. Has Mayenda just come on?
Oh, well, after seeing it, it definitely wasn't notified that he'd entered the field of play. All the focus was on the Aston Villa substitutions. Doesn't look like we've got that confirmation as of yet, but we'll keep an eye out.
High ball to the back post is easily taken by Martinez. And yeah, that's a chance then for Villa to reset. No, it's not Hazley. It's not Mayenda, is it? I think it's just Mukiele playing high up on the right hand side, who I'm getting confused with. As Villa play out from the back, again being pressed high by Mukiele and co. Cleared by the defender up towards halfway, and then Watkins has got the better of O'Neill. He's going forward here. He's got a chance of a pass out towards McGinn. McGinn forced wide by the pass. The Sunderland defenders get around him. The Scotsman tries to burst to the byline, but a good challenge by one of the substitutes. Just come on, knocks it behind for a corner.
I'm not sure Ollie Watkins should be going for the pass. It opens up so kindly for him. And Luke O'Neill, I think he's fortunate that he's got away without a yellow card there, because he was all over Ollie Watkins. He was shaping up to go to McGinn. Troy Hume didn't know which way to go. He had more space to run into. And when you're on a hat-trick, I don't know why he hasn't just gone to take it on himself.
Yeah. Seemed a little bit, I don't know, lacking in confidence maybe, or just chose the wrong option. Anyway, going to get a corner out of it because Troy Hume's challenge put it behind. It's whipped in by McGinn, headed up in the air by Ballard inside the box, and I think he was being fouled. The referee's given a free kick Sunderland's way. Well, they need to score pretty soon, don't they, the Black Cats, if they're going to get anything out of this game. Maybe those changes can just pep them up a little bit. As they play it out now through Xhaka. Hume down the line. Finds Siddiqui, back to Hume. Now O'Neill across to Ballard. Roof's ushering him forward, and Villa desperate to get back now as Ballard carries it up to the halfway line. He's got an option inside, which he uses, and then plays it back out to the right for Mukiele. Talby's made a run, which is ignored. Goes back to Siddiqui this time. Now Hume on the ball, 25 yards out, back to Noah Siddiqui. Ballard crossing position, but he's not going to trust his right peg. Plays it wide to Talby. Xhaka again trying to prompt things for Sunderland. Places it in towards the penalty area. Mukiele couldn't take it, and it runs through to Martinez.
It was the right idea from Granit Xhaka, just a cutting pass through the midfield. Mukiele just maybe a little bit lazy, or maybe a bit of a tired leg there by the Frenchman. Just had the ball squirm underneath his boot. If he's able to control it, he's potentially able to turn and go for goal.
Going to be cleared now by Villa. And Mings, I say he's going to be cleared because now he does get out of his feet and pump it down the line. One back by Ballard, falls to Rogers. Rogers ball over the top, finds Watkins bursting into space. This is the hat-trick chance for him then. He's on his right foot, drifting into the penalty. Great recovery tackle from Ballard, who looked to have no chance when that ball sailed over his head. But he's made up about 25 yards there to make a goal-saving tackle on the edge of his box.
Unbelievable defending there by the Northern Irishman. Never gave up the ghost when it looked for all the world Watkins was going to maraud forward and get his hat-trick. Fantastic defending there by the Sunderland number 5.
Here they come again. Sunderland on the attack, right-hand side, with Diarra playing it back to Xhaka. Runs across the box. He's crossed it towards the far post for Lefay, who's beaten in the air by Cash. And McGinn now. Ooh, he dwelt on the ball and got caught out. Lefay into the penalty area, drives a shot towards goal, parried at the near post by Martinez, and away behind for a corner. Is it a corner? Maybe a goal kick actually, because I think Lefay had another bite at it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see which way the decision has gone, but I thought it might have been a goal kick. Sloppy play by John McGinn. Should have released the ball earlier. And Lefay, plenty of power behind it. I think that is a corner kick for me.
Well, he's kicked it into Lefay.
Oh, he has.
So the question is, who got the last touch? But we're just seeing this chance for Watkins again, and the brilliant recovery tackle for Dan Ballard on the edge of his own box. Had to get it right. Watkins was on the cusp. He was about to enter the box and pull the trigger, and Ballard has made a fantastic recovery run. He's so red in the face. He must have been really going 10 to the dozen to get back there after the initial ball over the top from Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers deserved an assist for his pass because he released Watkins into an acre of space, but somehow Ballard got back.
Yeah, fantastic defending there by Dan Ballard. I do wonder that if Reggie Labrie didn't make that change and Alderete was still on the field, I'm not sure if Alderete gets back in time to make that challenge. We've got a little bit of a stoppage here though, because Esri Concert, who was the man that was caught from the follow-up by Enzo Lefay, still down on the deck in a seemingly a real spot of bother.
Yeah, the physios are not making good sort of body language signs really to me. Esri Concert has got his head in his hands, he's lying down, and they're just trying to stretch out his ankle. Could be... yeah, it's a painful one that. I think he's holding his knee, not his ankle. Oh, this could be bad. Well, Victor Lindelof is warming up as a possible substitute to come on in this game, but I'm thinking World Cup here, and Esri Concert, he was on the plane, wasn't he?
Yeah,
might still be. Obviously, it's only. It's a layman's diagnosis, but it doesn't look good.
No, I mean, if it is a World Cup ending injury for Esri Concert, it would be a massive blow, because not only was he on the plane, he was probably the starting partner to Mark Gay in the half of the defence. If he is going to be out through injury, you're mainly probably looking at Harry Maguire to potentially make a return. If John Stones is fit, maybe he comes back in as well. Concert currently has that second centre-back spot in the England squad by a chokehold. If he's injured, it's up for grabs.
And he's played right back as well, hasn't he? You know, I think that's one of the reasons why Thomas Tuchel likes him. He's got the ability to play two positions for the team, and you know those sort of players are vital in when you're taking a squad, 23-man squad or whatever away. But anyway, he's got back to his feet. He's been helped off the pitch because he did receive treatment. The question is, can he come back on? I would suggest that he probably won't want to come back on with so much at stake for him in this remainder of the season, but we'll see. The ball is kicked long by Martinez and then headed back to his own goalkeeper by O'Neill. Villa momentarily down to 10 men. You'd expect Victor Lindelof would be getting ready to come on if they are going to make this change, but it looks to me as though Lindelof has still got his he's still got his tracksuit on there, so probably not going to come on, and that means Concert will be returning to the game. Ball over to the right hand side now is not going to be kept in by Talby, and it's out for a goal kick, and probably now we'll see Concert come back onto the pitch. Yeah,
we'd assume so, as it looks like a different player has beaten Ollie Watkins to getting a hat-trick today in the Premier League. Morgan Gibbs-White gets a third to make it 3-1 to Nottingham Forest against Burnley. Just before we see a double change here for Villa, Tammy Abraham and Jadon Sancho, the two that are going to come onto the field of play.
Yeah, and two more England internationals, but neither of those I would have thought in Thomas Tuchel's thoughts at the moment. I've just seen a replay of Watkins' first goal, simple back post header from McGinn's chip, and the second one, another header from close in from a driven cross by Ian Martson. I presume Tuchel will be taking in a game today, but most likely at the Etihad Stadium.
Yes, he would assume so, but he'll definitely have heard of the exploits of Watkins today, and will know that he'll just have to keep an eye out going forward. As Tammy Abraham, probably to be expected, like-for-like substitution here as he comes onto the field of play.
Yep, Abraham for Watkins, Sancho. He's been doing well in his sporadic Premier League appearances and playing as well, of course, in Europe as well. He comes on for John McGinn. McGinn, usual 7.5 out of 10 performance from him. Very consistent performer. 10 minutes to go, 3-1. Villa just looking to wrap up the points now and move on to the next.
You can't see Sunderland getting back into this game now with so little time remaining. I feel like they can still get another goal back in against Villa, but I just don't think the time is on their side, and they're not playing with enough urgency or have enough quality today in the final third to make me think that they can beat Martinez on 3 occasions.
Is Emi Buendia getting his first involvement down the left-hand side. He's tugged back there by Mukiele. gives away a free kick near the edge of the Sunderland penalty area. Buendia just too nimble there to twist away from two Sunderland defenders. I think take your pick really, whether it was Mukiele or Ballard who shoved him to the ground. But the referee doesn't have to take his pick, he just blew his whistle, gave the free kick. So Villa have got some height on the field. Mings is still there. Conser obviously didn't go off. So yeah, he looks like he's in the penalty area too. Onana is probably the biggest of the lot. So lots of targets to aim for here for Yuri Tielemans, who's addressing the free kick. He'll be swinging it in right-footed. Rogers lurks towards the back post area as well. Digne makes a near post run. It goes in towards that near post, and it's flicked towards goal here by Tyrone Mings, and it's saved at the near post by Roofs. Comes back to Tielemans. He sends another cross in high to the back post. Roofs with a good claim averts the danger.
Yeah, really dangerous ball in there from the free kick, just could not be cleared by the Sunderland back line, and it falls to Mings in a really tight angle. Really can't do much else with it by just firing it towards goal with a bit of a hit and hope. Comfortable save for Robin Roofs though.
Ball is still not controlled by either team, but now a shot comes in from Buendia, which is parried away by Roofs from the edge of the box. Dodgy back pass to the Dutchman, but he keeps his cool and hits it long up towards halfway. Brobby in a battle with 4 Villa players, not going to get the better of those. Conser slips the ball into midfield for Buendia. Now back out towards Cash. Goes back to Onana. Rogers back in his own half. Plays it back to Ezri Konsa. Seems to be moving fine, Konsa, as well, after that injury scare a few moments ago. What's the score in the Merseyside derby? Is that still 1-1?
Yeah, it's still 1 apiece between Everton and Liverpool. But the other 2 games in the Premier League's 2 o'clock kickoffs, 3-1 here and 3-1 at the Forest at the City Ground.
Siddiqui on the ball for Sunderland inside his own half, has to go back to O'Neill. Now Hume back to the former Sunderland captain. The current captain takes over. Xhaka trying to spring something from midfield, gets it out wide to Talby. He's been quiet since coming on, the substitute, but now he gets his head down and starts to burrow forward down the right side, drifts across him, but it's a poor delivery that goes behind, I think into the Holt end, and that's still 3-1.
Yeah, really poor delivery there. I think they've lost their belief now. Sunderland, they know that time is of the essence, and they just don't think they can get back into it. Seeing another replay of that strike by Buendia, caught so sweetly, but Roos was always in a really strong position to actually make that save.
Yeah, and he made another save a few moments before that from Mings' near post attempt. Just 6.5 minutes plus stoppage time to go, and Brian Brobby is now coming off for Sunderland. Wilson Isidore is his replacement. So this is a case of just freshening things up a little bit, trying to keep Brobby from picking up any injuries.
You know, really hadn't got involved in the game too much, particularly in the second half, Brian Brobby. So I think fresh legs up top can't hurt Sunderland really. Wilson Isidore, he recently declared his allegiance for Haiti, so he will be making an appearance at the World Cup, providing he is fit. Getting some more valuable minutes under his belt could be vital to helping Haiti pull off a shock and somehow getting through their very difficult group.
Aston Villa on the ball at the back with Martinez, the World Cup winning goalkeeper, just playing with Sunderland strikers before kicking it long up towards Abraham, who's wrestled off the ball there by Ballard. Sunderland have it at the back now. Talby, he's playing deeper than Mukiele, to be honest. It's a very fluid formation, particularly down the right hand side that Reggie Labrie has got going from Lorient boss. As Sunderland come forward again now with turn from Diarra, given away though, intercepted back by Xhaka, threads it forward looking for Mukiele to push on, but Mings takes a good angle, comes across, tidies up there with help from Dean, almost given away by him, but Villa good in possession. Mings very good in possession there to twist away from Diarra and send a back pass to his keeper. Confident stuff this from the Villains, as Cash from his own byline plays it up to Sancho. Slightly loose touch from former Manchester United man, seized upon by Hume, who comes forward and finds the back of the net. And Sunderland are back in this. It's a mistake from Jadon Sancho, seized upon by Troy Hume.
Well, fantastic finish there. Game really is back on. Troy Hume, the substitute, picking the pocket of Jadon Sancho, allowed to run into the area. I think everyone thought that he was just going to pull that back for Isidore to tap home, but he went for goal from a tight angle. He has lashed that into the roof of the net. Fantastic finish from the Northern Irishman.
Yeah, I think it helps that he's a right-footed player playing on the left, so it's natural for him to curl that one in. He just doesn't check his back shoulder, does he, Sancho? And then Hume is in there, and the cover doesn't come across either. You've got to question where the centre-backs are for Villa, because Tielemans is the nearest one to cover him behind Sancho when that ball's given away. So there's a few there that could probably take responsibility for that goal from Sunderland, which gets them back in the game. With 5 minutes to go, who knows what could happen now?
I wasn't confident that they'll be able to get back.
And here's
into
a chance for Sunderland, because it's Isidore who's through on goal against Martinez. He makes it 3-3. Unbelievable from Sunderland. They've scored 2 goals in 2 minutes, and they're back level.
That really just shows how little I know, Saibalo, because I claimed earlier that I just could not see how Sunderland could get back into this game. But 2 defensive howlers have allowed Sunderland to equalise. A gorgeous through ball from Granit Xhaka to set off the pace of Wilson Isidore. Martinez slips at the worst moment. Isidore can just look up, sees him on the floor, slot it into the back of the net. It's 3-3. Maybe there is still another goal in this game.
Yeah, it's an alarming drop-off from Villa, who were messing around with it on the halfway line, got dispossessed by that is a fantastic tackle from Xhaka. The pass is even better. He's threaded it through the legs of Tielemans to Isidore, who's through on goal, and he tucks it in at the near post. Bit of a gap left there by Martinez.
It's Sancho again.
Oh, it's Sancho who's lost the ball again, and it's Lefay's ball. I beg your pardon, I thought it was Xhaka who threaded it through to Isidore. But yeah, Jadon Sancho has come on and cost his team 2 points there, because he's at fault for both. Well, he's partially at fault for both goals they've conceded.
Well, I dread to think what sort of match rating he is on now, Jadon Sancho. He's had his pocket picked twice, and each of those errors has allowed Sunderland to score. Unbelievable comeback from the Black Cats.
Yeah, he's only on loan from Manchester United, and the option is there for them to make it permanent, but I think the chances of that happening have become a little bit less in the last 5 minutes. Is Morgan Rogers battling away to try and get Villa back on top down the left-hand side. He goes down under a challenge, but no free kick given. The Villa fans are up in arms now. They were giving it the Olays a few minutes ago, weren't they, Villa? But they're back on level terms, and Sunderland, as you mentioned, they've got the wind in the sails. They could even snatch a winner now, couldn't they?
Well, based on the momentum, you would have to say if any side is going to get a winner, it would be Sunderland. Villa looks shell-shocked. They don't know how to react to what they've just experienced and what they've just seen. I'm really intrigued to see how long of added time there'll be at the end of this game. When it was 3-1, I would have guessed 3 minutes tops, maybe 4 at a push. Now, that could easily be doubled, and there's going to be plenty of time for a late winner.
Unai Emery is incandescent with rage, I think it's fair to say. If he had any more substitutes left, he might even take off Jadon Sancho. Ball goes back to Martinez, who's outside his penalty area, trying to prompt something here for Villa. Mings goes back to the keeper. Sunderland pressing here. Cleared by Martinez. Up towards Sancho, who's in an attacking position now, but he can't win that header against Hume. Sunderland come away with the ball again with Lefay. Across to Mukiele. Mukiele trying to thread one through, and there's a good run being made here by Diarra down the right side. He's got a man at the back post. It's Isidore if he can feed it through to him, and Isidore falls over, but then so does the Villa defender. Konsa, who claims he was shoved. He comes off Konsa's back, goes behind for a corner. He
was shoved. I'm surprised that wasn't spotted by the linesman or the referee. Gorgeous through ball again. Set off Diarra. Isidore's just trying to get in front of Ezri Konsa. The ball gets put in. It gets shoved to the floor. I think, to be fair, Konsa heading the ball out for a corner kick could be the worst thing he could have possibly done. If he heads that into the back of his own net, VAR check that and it gets ruled out and then clear their lines. Now, it can't be checked. Corner kick, chance for Sunderland.
Yeah, with 30 seconds to go. Granit Xhaka to take it. The Black Cats pushing for a win now. Play it short to the edge of the box. Back from Lefay. Xhaka goes for goal, and he's got too much action on that as he goes over the bar and harmlessly behind for a goal kick.
We know he can hit them from range. Granit Xhaka wasn't really his latest strike that we're used to seeing, though. Just trying to curl it. Doesn't quite get his angles right. Goal kick for Villa, but we've got 10 seconds before we find out how much added time there will be.
So as things stand, Villa will be staying in 4th place. They would have stayed in 4th place even if they'd taken all 3 points in this game because of their inferior goal difference to Manchester United. But now there'll be a 2-point gap between the two clubs, and less of a gap to Liverpool in 5th and Chelsea in 6th. 7 minutes of stoppage time to go. So still a chance there for either team to nick a winner.
Yeah, it's basically exactly what I thought as well. I said when it was a 3-1 that it'll be added time of 4 minutes tops. Now it's 3-3, it would be essentially doubled, and it's bang in between if it was a double for 3 minutes added time or if it was 4. I can definitely see a winner here.
Isidore wins a header. It's come off Buendia. Challenge by Dean, who stuck his head where the boots were flying and wins a free kick just inside the Villa half. The home side have got to go back into attack mode. You know, if they'd just gone into game management mode for a little bit there, now they've got to change back to getting the ball forward. Of course, leading striker Ollie Watkins came off at 3-1 up. Likewise, Sunderland, they took off Robbie when they were 3-1 down, and maybe they wish they still had him on the pitch now, although Isidore obviously took his chance very well. Here's the free kick then, played by Martinez up towards the edge of the box. Mings wins the header. It's volleyed clear by O'Neill. Back to the halfway line where Isidore's tripped over a Villa defender, and the referee gives the free kick against the Haitian striker. Telling Diarra to get away from the ball as Villa wants to take this quickly. Well, Ollie Watkins, look, he's got a 1,000-yard stare there as he watches on from the touchline. Villa come forward again. Down the left, Dean to Buendia. Sunderland defenders backing off here as Dean gets the return ball, tries to feed across in. Blocked by Sunderland. Xhaka clears very patiently, finds Lefebvre, who's challenged on the edge of the box, won back by Cash. Now Sancho, can he do something special here as he dribbles into the penalty area? Jadon Sancho gives the ball away again, and Sunderland can bring it away through Lefebvre. And now Siddiqui threads it through, back to Lefebvre. Now there's a chance through the middle, and here he comes. It's Diarra to make it 4-3. Habib Diarra's Villa's defence melts away, he chips it up, and a save by Martinez. A fantastic one-handed save by the 2-time Lev Yashin Award winner.
Unbelievable. A perfectly timed pass to set off Habib Diarra. It's probably just a player you don't want in the one-on-one situation. All he has to do is place it, but he dallies, and Martinez just knows the longer he dallies, the more likely he's going to try and lob him, and it's such an important palm away from Martinez.
Well, if Sunderland had scored that goal after Jadon Sancho had given it away, he might as well have just left the stadium, because there's no way back for him, was there? Already he's done enough damage to his team in this game, and that could have been 3 points given away. Here's a chance though, and it's a Villa winner from Tammy Abraham. The ball was fed in from the left-hand side, a curling cross from Luca Dean, and Abraham's thrown himself at it and got some kind of touch, but he's injured himself in the process. The drama just keeps on coming in this match. It's 4-3 to Aston Villa, but Tammy Abraham is hurt.
Oh, we have to see what exactly he did. He's holding his shoulder. He's in a real spot of bother. Sunderland cannot believe that it is now 4-3. And just seconds after it looked for all the world that they were going to go 4-3 up. Unbelievable.
Well, there'll be a VAR check on this goal, but there's not too many Sunderland players complaining about it, so I think it's going to be okay. Tammy Abraham off the bench, getting in the right place at the right time, but the ball from Luca Dean from this left-hand side was so wicked. Very hard for Roofs to come and claim that one. Very hard for the Sunderland defenders facing their own goal to deal with it. We're going to see it again. Here's a replay. So time on the ball really allows Dean to whip in this fantastic ball. Tammy Abraham is onside, and he just gets the faintest of touches, and then starts holding his arm.
Was he just pulled back a little bit? Maybe so. I think his arm was being pulled by Trey Hume. So it might just be a slight dislocation because he has to sort of shove him off. But it's a glorious finish by Tammy Abraham.
And a glorious game, which Villa have won now, I think. I think it's fair to say that with 3 minutes of stoppage time left, they've won it for a second time. Unai Emery, he celebrated for about 5 seconds, then quickly turned back to his players. Here they come through the midfield again now. We're seeing play live after the replays, and it's Morgan Rogers brought down on the edge of the box by Nordi Mukiele, and it's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa.
And a yellow card as well, which I think is the right decision there for Mukiele, just to bring him down. The last thing they need is yet another goal conceded right at the end. Rogers marauding forward. I mean, there might still be another goal in this game. It's been an unbelievable second half.
Yep. Well, Sunderland, you mentioned that stat in the first half, but them having won the most points in the Premier League from losing positions this season. They almost did it again.
Yeah. They
3-1 down.
almost did it again. A one-on-one opportunity, saved by Martinez. We're getting a replay of that now. Habib Diarra, he goes for the wrong shot choice for me. He also has Talbi to his right to lay it off to as well. It's just the wrong player in the right space, right at the end there. But take nothing away. Fantastic goalkeeping by Martinez.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He's caught in that one moment, and Habib Diarra will be regretting his choice of finish, especially now his team are on the losing end of things at 4-3 down. Here's the free kick there. Looks like Emi Buendia will take it for Villa, although Lucadine is also close by. There's a 4-man at Sunderland wall, plus 2 Villa players just stood to the side of it, or slightly in front of it. Referee Sam Barrett is happy with the positioning. He blows his whistle. Buendia looks like he's going to take it, steps up, right footed, curls it over the bar and wide.
Yeah, really poor effort there. I was expecting the left foot of Lucadine from that position. He's a bit of a set-piece specialist, but Buendia right underneath it, never looking likely it was going to dip in time. Poor effort by the Argentine.
Yeah, it was never had a chance really. And now, interesting goal kick situation here from Sunderland, because Robin Roofs has taken it from well outside the box. Now, Buendia tries a shot from the halfway line, which he gets horribly wrong, because Roofs, for some reason, was out at playing left back there.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of our off-tube studio pictures, we didn't sort of see why he was out on the left-hand side. It's a dangerous bit of play. Buendia, he's got to be doing better there for me.
Yeah, there was a chance there to really kill it at 5-3. Now the referee's given handball against Rodgers on the halfway line. Sunderland have a free kick with 30 seconds of stoppage time to go. It's time for them to send Robin Roofs forward in attack, surely.
Yeah, this is surely last chance saloon. Granit Xhaka is going to be the man that stands over this. Got 20 seconds remaining. This is surely the final attack.
4-3. Roofs stays on his line, or stays somewhere near his line, as Sunderland prepare to take the free kick. Now the referee stopped it because there's a player down here, and it's Nana who's, well, he's the one that's getting back to his feet, but there is somebody else the referee's calling over here for a yellow card. It might be it's Dan Ballard who's got the yellow card.
And Onana, by looks things, just from there jostling. That's why they've both been shown a yellow right at the end.
Okay, well, we're clearly past the disciplinary cut-off point, so players not really caring too much about these yellow cards, I don't think. Here comes the free kick then, played short by Granit Xhaka, and then back to him from Diarra. Diarra again, he missed that chance just moments ago. Trying to chip it into the penalty area. He's found a good ball to, it's headed away really well by Lucadine, full stretch. And Villa clear their lines. We've played the 7 minutes of original stoppage time issued by Sam Barrett. He checks his watch and blows the whistle. It's all over. And Aston Villa have won this one 4-3 in the most dramatic of circumstances. Sunderland coming back from 3-1 down to level. Had a chance to win it themselves with Diarra going through on goal. Saved by Martinez, and moments later, substitute Tammy Abraham wins it.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying